Good evening. My name is Tomislav Uroda and I'm coming from the iCat company. iCat stands for Island Catamaran, and that is how everything has started in our company. I have been invited to tell you a story, how did we start and develop the vessels we are building at this moment. The guy you can see up front at that point in time was working with me. Some of you may know him. His name is Kresho at the moment. He is CEO of Grey Bikes. This is the Rimac company. And we were challenged by the issue how to connect the islands with the shore in Croatia. The basic idea was to create a network based on the same principle like the air companies. Present passenger lines in Croatia has been based on the island concept. We call it island lines, and they are defined to connect the islands or to bring the people from the island to the shore. And we wanted to challenge that paradigm with a concept that we would like to create passenger network, where we have boats sailing all day, and where the market potential is much bigger. If you can create such a network, then all these guys from the islands, they can use the network for everyday purpose. The example I will show you later on with city of Šibenik, where you have two islands, Žirje and Kapri, with 170 people living there, and if you sail them all or you bringing them all to the shore each day, you don't need more than one line per day. If you look from the past, then the idea came some 10 years ago. Then we start some discussion with University of Zagreb. We have started the company. Then when we start to develop the electrical part of the boat, and that means propulsion, we were doing that with Končara Institute. For the city of Šibenik, we have been developing the new concept of the boat lines. And then we won the tender for the National Park of Mljet to build 3 electrical vessels. And at this moment, the third one is finishing. The guys are working in production right now when I'm giving this speech to you. We have started own production a bit before than we planned, but that is the business. And the next step would be the vessel you can see up front. That is the vessel which we have designed when we start the company. So far we haven't built that one. We have built the other vessels you can see on the picture. Setting up the company was defined as a group with integration within several sectors. This iCat design part, this is the beauty of the company. iCat line is not set up yet, but that would be the cash cow of the company. And then you have the shipyard with you must do, and then consulting, and that means supporting the ministries, local authorities, and that is you must have. On the picture it looks like that. We have small design office, we have production which is placed in Zagreb, and then we are working on this consulting part on the national level mostly for the Ministry of the Sea in development of new concept of transportation, helping them how to define the ways to finance the refurbishment of the fleet. Most of the activities goes to the inland waterways, even though this is not developed like the offshore navigation. iCat line is something we would like to start soon. Whether that is going to be in few years, sooner or later, we cannot say at this point. But we are working on that one actively all the time. I have told you about city of Šibenik. I used to work in Šibenik for a company established by the Norwegian government. At that point, I was discussing with the city they knew for the idea we have been developing, and they have asked us if we can develop new setup of passenger transportation for the city of Šibenik. This is the smallest city out of the big ones in Adriatic, with the oldest vessels sailing there. So we defined for them transportation model integrating the coast, not just the island toward the city, but use potential of the tourists. I told you that it's 170 people living on the islands, while you have 50,000 inhabitants in the city of Šibenik, 20,000 in Vodice, and then 400,000 of tourists. With Končara Institute, we have been developing a concept of the electric vessels for the city of Šibenik. On the picture down there, you would see the lines as we have defined. And then at first it was the classical diesel propulsion vessels, but highly efficient, ultralight. And then the city of Šibenik said that they would like to have only electric vessels. It's not easy to create electric vessel with high frequency of sailing and with high speed vessel. And we have been thinking about several options, either to have the bunkering of the battery, which would be replaced when you are boarding people every several stops. At the end, we came that it will be best to have the 5 vessels instead 4 of them, and then you relax the batteries on each of them on the each of next departure. So this one is still challenging, and like Mr. Dujic said, this is the future, that's for sure. And I would say that the coastal transportation will go toward the electric vessels, but there are some technical challenges to be solved on that path. This is the boat we have built for National Park Tomislav, and I will show you the short movie while I'm talking about it. That is the movie taken a year ago, and it is for the first vessel there. Electrical vessels, they are not just ecological, it's a different way of feeling you sail in those vessels. We like to say you enjoy the silence on those vessels. The stress level is much lower than you can feel it on classic diesel engines. 20 years ago, I was transferring one. It was the sailboat from Split to Genoa for Nautic Fair. It was the 10-day transportation. There was no wind, so we were sailing on the engine, and it was huge level of stress when you have 24 hours of engine running beside you. So for the cities like Dubrovnik, or yesterday I had a speech in Grado in Italy, tomorrow I'm going to Ohrid, those kind of cities which are already positioned as a high level of touristic cities, I believe they should go in that direction as a first one, as the one who can break the surface. We have delivered the second vessel this summer, and I will come to that one after that movie. So we have been sailing from Split to Dubrovnik in one day. We have started early in the morning. It is 75 nautical miles. We done it in one day. It was average speed 5.5 knots and 13.5 hours of sailing. At the end, we finished with 40% of state of charge of the batteries. That means that we have provided, or we managed to sail with one battery charging the whole day. More than 13 hours per day, it's not needed for any of those coastal vessels in or wherever you go globally. The most of the energy this boat gets from the sun. There is the solar plant at the top. It's 7.5 kilowatt. Those panels are not high efficient panels. Their efficiency is 40 point something %. That means that with the level of 25% of efficiency, we can almost double the amount of the energy stored inside. I will show you something, and that is how do we monitor those vessels. I hope I can connect now. So this is the monitoring software we have to have because of the register of shipping. The challenge was not just for us. The challenge was also for the register of shipping. That was the new technology for them. It took us a while to get the papers for vessels to get approval from the register of shipping for those vessels as a seagoing vessels. I'm getting back to the day when we have made those transportation of the boat, and on the map you can see how that was, how far that was. There is the split. We passed through the split gate close to the barrage, then Hvar, Korčula, and finally we get to Mljet. If we take a look on consumption on that one, I will get to the same point in time. This is one of the battery sets on board. So at the beginning, you are not consuming any energy, and then the current goes. If it's minus, then we are using energy. If it's plus, then we are producing. On this set of battery, you can see that that was the 3, 4, 5 amps. This is not that much. The graph below shows the state of charge of the batteries. This is the port side engine. Those batteries have been used a bit less because we were charging from the other set general service batteries, like you have navigation instrument, this monitoring software. You have even the fridge on that boat. So the other set was discharged a bit more. But basically, we can monitor the boat all the time, and when we have delivered the first one last year, then they start to sail with that one with a higher speed. Higher speed means that you are using battery more and you are shortening the life of the battery. So we have just sent one note to the National Park of Mljet that they should take care for the speed, and when they said it to the captain, then the captain stopped sail with the boats for 1 week. They said something like, "Oh, somebody is controlling us, watching us. We don't want to sail anymore those vessels." That is the point from the some kind of new development, new technology, and you have to socialize with the guys who are using that boat. That is something new. So the new habit they have to they have to check the boat on a different way. So far, they've been sailing with diesel engines, so they can check the oil, the pressure, whatever. On this one, they don't check anything. So from time to time, you need a lot of baby steps and talking with them and get them to use it. There was the one point of time when somebody called me from Mljet that the solar charger is the shore charger is not working, that something is not good. I just asked him, can we go and pass through the manual, and then I was just checking if the switch was on. The switch was off at that point. I'm saying new technology, new habits, it takes some time, like on the other fields. This is the one we would like to start now, and we at the moment we are discussing a lot with some other cities, not just in Croatia, but I would say more abroad. The bigger vessel, the first one is 50 passenger. This one is 100 packs, and it's a high-speed vessel, high speed from the point of electrical vessels, we would say up to 15 knots. On the first one, the bunkering was 50 kilowatt hours. On this one would be 500 kilowatt hours. That means 5 tons of batteries. After me, the presentation will be given by the Super B. That is the battery producer whose battery we are using on the boats. And when we have started, we have asked them if they can make for us life cycle assessment. And for the boats which are sailing on National Park of Mljet, slow currents, slow speed, uh, low discharging profile, low heating. It was 40 years by the calculation. Then they limited it to the 15 years, like chemical characteristic of the batteries. For the city of Šibenik, when we have planned to discharge batteries every 1 hour with the high seas on the batteries, it was only 1 year. So technology is very sensitive, and you have to be careful while using that, or make some kind of financial assessment. Should you be fast, or should you have batteries for a longer run? And this is the next step that we have in plan. We haven't done much more about more than the concept, but that would be for the islands further away, like in Croatia. You can compare it to how to connect the island of Vis or something like that. And that's it for me. Those are the last 2 vessels on National Park Mljet.
Questions? Do we have time for questions or?
Maybe one question. In all the process from the concept to the final product, how would you rate your communication with researchers and academia? What's their role in all of this?
Yeah, of course. The Conchar Institute, that is kind of research institution. We are very appreciative for them to be part of process of development, but also we have communication, and we still have it with the University of Zagreb, and it's not always in the electrical side. Since we are building the vessel, we have a lot of maritime issues, but Professor Grubisic, you knew him, he was the dean. He supported us very much about the propulsion system, how to define it with regards to the electric vessels. He is the one who made the first propulsion on the electric vessels on Plitvice, and that is 40 years ago or something like that.
That the new one will have a propulsion on electric, which is probably battery, and it will be also covered by a hybrid system by diesel. Would you maybe consider utilizing hydrogen over there? Because lately a lot of effort is put to put hydrogen in the vessels, and for example ABB from Norway is doing quite a lot of research over there, and they said that they don't have a problems to increase the capacity because few cells are modular, so you can put stacks as long as you want. So maybe do you think about considering utilizing hydrogen instead of diesel? It will be more environmentally.
Yeah, we have been thinking about that, especially when we were developing for City of Šibenik type of propulsion. Then one of the issue for City of Šibenik was that if we put the hydrogen tanks on board, and if somebody from if it's get in a newspaper that you have the tank with 700 bars, that this is kind of the bomb on board, and the City of Šibenik said at that point that they don't want to go in that direction. Now I'm just saying sensibility with the public, and those new technologies have to get slowly, and the people, they have to become familiar with that technology. Then we were discussing how to produce the hydrogen. That was the one way to create the big solar plant close to the Šibenik. Then you produce the hydrogen, then you store it on board, and then you are producing the energy back. That was the one of the option. Or you just buy the hydrogen from the fossil fuel, 3 times less expensive, but then you are not on ecological side.